Okay, good afternoon or good evening, everyone. So today I have a new horse in the barn to work, Maple. You can see her right there. Say hi, Maple. Let me get the camera back here and I'll get in there and we'll get started. So Maple is an 11-year-old mare. She happens to be for sale. So if anyone is interested in a nice, sweet mare, she's going to be for sale. Her owner wanted me to take her for a month, kind of pre-sale tune-up, I guess, if you will. She's pretty cool. She back up. There you go, good girl. So her story, her owner got her, wanted to kind of have her as a husband horse, kid horse, it's trails, that sort of thing. She had her in training with me and another trainer for a little bit. I think I worked on her for about maybe a month, maybe 2 months. I can't remember for sure. But she did pretty good. She was riding around pretty good by the time she left here. I mean, she was already riding before she got here, but I did my whole groundwork program and then rode her a little bit, and then her owner took her back, and she's been good, but her owner feels like she's a little bit much for her kids. And she's the kind of horse, which, I mean, a lot of horses are this way. You kind of have to tell her what to do. She'll take advantage of you if you don't be a little bit firm with her. And the owner's kids are not riding every day. They're not super confident in telling the horse what to do. And she's never done anything dangerous or, bad, or certainly not mean. She's very, very sweet, but just not the right fit. So anyway, she wanted me to do kind of a 30-day tune-up on her. And so I thought I'd go ahead and video these. And, it's always funny when I start videoing these kind of sessions because I never know where the session's going to go. So I actually came in here and worked with her for about 10, 15 minutes before I started the video this morning or this evening. And as I was going around, I was like, oh, here's a bunch of things I'd like to be talking about in the video. So I went ahead and set up the video, and we're going to kind of start over and rework some things. So the reason I think she's going to be a really good video to do a video series is I think she's in the same place that probably a lot of people's horses are that might be watching this. She's very nice, very sweet, very safe, if you will. And I kind of put air quotes, safe, because I think when a horse is, like you'll see with her, a little bit dismissive of humans at times, kind of like, you don't matter, which is often is the result of a horse has gone through multiple owners and maybe been ridden by inconsistent people or people who don't, like kids a lot of times, right? Who may not always follow through with their cues. And so it gives the horse mixed signals because, well, one time you kick me here and it means this, and the next time you kick me here and it doesn't mean anything because we don't follow through. And so horses, rightfully so, understandably so, can get kind of dismissive of humans where they're just like, yeah, I'm doing my own thing. Don't mess with me, And I think that's a little bit where she is. And it's going to be easy to fix. It just needs some consistency, but I'm going to show you some things. But that point that horse gets to, so many horses out there are at that point. And so if you think that your horse kind of fits that, I'm going to show you some things you can do to help fix that. So now I should have started the video at the beginning because right now she's standing there, really hasn't moved a foot. She's locked in with me, very focused, head's nice and low. I don't think she's looked and chewed yet. I haven't really been paying attention, honestly. I should. But she's quite relaxed. Now an airplane just flew over. She got a little up, but she still didn't move her feet, right? When I first came in the pen with her 15 minutes ago, she was walking around me, nervous, kind of looking all around, right? Not in a dangerous way, but a little bit anxious and definitely dismissive of me. Now, the work I've done in the last 15 minutes has already made her much more, I can just stand here and tuned in and focused. Now, all I did in the last 15 minutes was basic groundwork, so I'm just going to show you kind of what I did. If you've seen some of my older videos or even more recent videos, this is a little different than what I've been teaching previously, but it's all the same principle. I'm going to go ahead and send her. I'm just going to send by pointing and kind of pulling with the lead rope a little bit more. These days I'm thinking a little bit more flow with the lead rope, okay? And I can talk more about why that is. Now I'm going to send her the other direction, and instead of like I used to do, I would have either drawn her in or sent the hind end away and like asked for the stop and then sent her the other direction. I'm not going to ask for a stop first, but I'm going to be very, very slow in sending her the other way. So I'm just going to pick up on this lead rope and ask her to go the other way. Now right there, she gets a little sticky, and I'm going to add a little bit of pressure there. I'm only adding the pressure if she sticks, but I'm giving her plenty of time to follow the feel of that lead rope, because I feel like this technique is much more closely associated to what I need from her under saddle. If I was riding her under saddle right now, what's the number one thing I would want to be able to do? Keep going, keep going. She's a little sticky there, so I'm going to add some pressure. Good. If I was under saddle right now, I'd want to be able to reach down on this rein and bend her around just like that. Right? Did you see that little tiny change in where in her mind, in her face, in her shoulder? I'd want to be able to reach down on this lead rope and send her this way. Good. Okay, now that butts in a little bit into me. She's kind of like angling out, so I'm going to go into yielding this hind end. And I want this shoulder, she tends to be really sticky on this shoulder right here. You see how this front foot right here hasn't moved yet? She's sucking back. There's a good disengage in the hind end. I want her to step forward through this turn and lift this shoulder right here. Keep going. There. See how she unlocked that front foot just slightly? There. 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 And when she gives me that a little bit, I'm going to ask her to go forward again. You can tell she's a real quiet mare. She's super sweet. But they can be too quiet, right? If they're unresponsive to your cues, then when you get into a situation where they actually are scared, they get spooked or they get whatever, and they're not paying attention to your cues, that's when things can really get dangerous. So you can tell if a horse is going to be dangerous when they're super calm. You can tell how they're going to react if they do get scared, right? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and draw her through. I want her to be nice and soft. See how she's a little sticky on the lead rope right there? There, good. Now, I don't think it's going to take very long for that to get quite a bit better, but I might take 2 or 3 days of just getting her to where she really respects the feel of that lead rope. Right here, I want her to take that feel much better. Do you see how we eliminated all that stickiness? She bent into the turn, moved her feet, and went with that feel. Keep going. That was much better. Now, the other thing, I did quite a bit of this, like I said, about 10, 15 minutes of this. The other thing I did a second ago was I went ahead and worked up the rope here, and I had felt some tension in her face, and so I went into lateral flexion. Yep, right there. See how she's pushing at that? She doesn't want to give to that lateral flexion, and so I think that's going to be the other piece of this. So you've got the sending and the yielding, the rib cage and yielding the hind end and all this stuff. And then you've got getting the face soft. And I think those are going to be the 2 keys to making this horse pretty nice. And like I say, she's already safe under saddle. I mean, non-horsey people ride her quite a bit and have never had an issue with her. So I'm not doing the groundwork with her necessarily to be safe getting under saddle. I'm doing the groundwork because I have a lot more ability to get her really good on the ground. And then when I get in the saddle, I want things to work quite a bit better. I want this horse to be really nice. She's a really cool horse. Like, she's built cool. She naturally carries her head low. She's fairly athletic. Like, she's nice. I mean, she's grayed. She's not papered. But you can tell from her build, she probably comes from, papered bloodlines, even though she's not papered. She's good-minded. She's sweet. Like, she's too nice of a horse to just kind of be riding around a dud. If I can get her nice and responsive, light to the halter both sides, which means light to the bridle on both sides, responsive to my feet, and then get in here and actually be doing some cool stuff, I can get her sold for quite a bit more money for the client than if she's kind of, you pull on a rein and you have to drag her face around and, all that kind of stuff. right there. And I've talked about this a little bit before, but when I do this lateral flexion, I used to bend them all the way around to the shoulder and like get all the way around before I release. I'm not really doing that so much anymore. I'm picking up on that lead rope, and as soon as I feel them give, and they may turn their head quite a bit without giving, right? They can pull and turn and pull and turn and pull and turn, but as soon as I feel that little tick where they actually give, that's when I'm going to release. So I'm going to pick up. There, she actually turned. She's got an amazing mane. Better. And pick up. And she's still there. That was kind of an example of where she brought her head around, but she was pulling the whole time. Right. Nope, she's pulling, pulling, pulling. There she gave. My release. I don't really care where her head is, and all the way from here to here. What I care is wherever she starts, as soon as she just releases, that's when I'm going to release my hand. Her head came down. There was the release. So it's not released down or released to the wrong side. It's released into the pressure. Now, I love that her head came down, but that's not where she gets the release from. There. And I'm just going to keep doing these little lateral flexion releases until she looks and chews. And so the purpose of this is twofold. One is obviously to teach her how to release the pressure, but the other is to get her to start loosening up all these neck muscles, and loosening those muscles will actually put her body into a more relaxed state. And when she gets fully relaxed, she'll lick and chew. So we're kind of teaching her how to relax through pulling on the halter. Now, that's going to help transition to getting her to relax under saddle, because when I pick up on that halter or hackamore or rope halter, whatever I'm riding her in, when she feels that pressure, I want her first thought to be, I can relax into it. Good. There's looking at you. Beautiful. Excellent. I'll give her a second of reward right here. When she looks and chews and gets relaxed, I don't want to go right back into groundwork and make her think it's a punishment for relaxing, right? But I am going to go back into groundwork here pretty quick, because I do want to get her trotting and maybe even loping, and I might put on a longer lead rope, but I definitely want to get her trotting today and maybe loping next couple days, and make sure that we can continue this relaxation, because it's entirely possible if we can get her this relaxed doing essentially nothing. But when we ask her to go into a lope, all bets are off. So with her, probably not. She's probably pretty good, but with just any horse. Okay, ask her to follow the feel of that halter. Go, go. Now I'm going to get pretty stern with her there, because she's already kind of an on top of you type of horse. And you could tell that she had the idea that, yeah, I'm supposed to go, right? She had the idea, she knew what to do, but she wasn't reading my body language at all, because I'm at that shoulder and she's not gone, right? So that tells me if I was sitting on her back and I start kicking and I need her to get off that leg, she's not going to get off that leg, right? So that's why I got pretty strict with her there and said, hey, you need to read my body language. You need to get out of my space. If I'm right here, Okay, let's do a little trotting. Not bad. Now, one thing I think I remember about this horse, and it's been, I don't know, a year or two since I trained on this horse, so I don't remember exactly, but I think whenever we went into a trot back then, her ears would pin back, and we never quite knew if it was a pain thing or an attitude thing, but I could tell she kind of went to that. You could see her ears pin back just a little bit. See right there? But then her ears come out of it pretty quick. So that's a really good sign. That tells me that she's starting to, she still has that habit in there, but see how she kind of gets mad that I'm asking her to work? She's a very lazy horse, and she needs to kind of learn to work. Nice little trot. Excellent. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and ask her to go the other way. So again, I'm not going to ask her to stop first. I'm just going to switch hands and very slowly ask her to follow the feel of that lead rope. Once again, she didn't, I was up right at that butt, swinging this rope a little bit, and she wasn't taking that energetic cue and moving off, so I got pretty, started swinging this rope pretty hard at her butt. One thing this horse does pretty bad that I really want to work on with her, and I remember from last time, is she really has a tendency to drop that inside shoulder, and you can kind of see it as she's going around in this circle. Ooh, that's nice right there. And so when I was doing that exercise earlier, I'll go back into it just to show you, where I asked for a bend in her face and then asked this hind end to disengage. Boom, right there. See how the shoulder gets real stiff? Right there, this leg gets planted. This is better. I need her to get more energetic about crunching these abs right here, disengaging that hind end, and driving forward around that small circle. There we go. So her answer for everything is kind of just stop, right? And I'm trying to get her a little more athletic, a little more forward actually. There we go. And then looser in her face and trying to get her body to carry her weight, get her abs crunched a little so her back lifts and her legs can actually operate independently of her head and neck. So that's why I'm pulling on this lead rope a little bit periodically, trying to get that head and neck to bend in, and then driving up from the hind end to try to crunch up those abs. There we go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and ask her to lope. Come on. All right, let me get my flag. I have a little bit too short of a lead rope. That was my bad. I shouldn't have asked her to lope when I wasn't prepared for it. So I have too short of a lead rope to both swing it and drive her into the lope and give her enough slack to lope. So we might need to do a little desensitization to the flag later on too. So I'm going to remember that that's a little bit scary for her. I don't know if you could hear, but when I waved that flag for her to go, instead of her just going, she kind of went, kind of did this little half snort thing. So she was going out of fear, not out of, oh, he's telling me to go, let me drive off control. So, all right, now let's do a little loping. Nice. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and, yeah, all my gates are closed. I'm going to go ahead and take her off the lead rope. And I'm going to kind of get her moving out a little bit, if I can. There we go. It's just so hard to get their feet really moving on this lead rope. And of course, she's gonna wanna be over by that gate. Because she already knows that's the way out. Good. And also, this is super deep sand. This is 3¼ inches of sand. I'm sure she's not used to running in this, so I'm not gonna, you can tell I'm out of breath. I'm not used to it either. I'm not gonna chase her around a whole bunch and really make her lope a lot before she builds up to it. You can see she's already breathing kind of hard. But I do wanna make sure that she can get into that lope. I'm not so worried about her loping forever, but when I kiss and I put that pressure on, I need to know how is she gonna respond. And she responded pretty decent. I mean, not great, but pretty decent. She probably hasn't loped a lot recently. All right, girly, let's go the other direction. She goes the wrong way. I'm not terribly concerned about that, honestly. In this big arena, it's really hard to correct that. It's not great, but if it was a super big problem when I had the lead rope on, I'd be more concerned about it. But she hasn't tried to turn away and pull the lead rope out of my hand or anything like that. Focus hasn't really been an issue for her. So I think it was, if I recall correctly, back, we had some issues with that back when I was training her before, but it doesn't seem like we do anymore, so. All right, girly, let's lope a little bit. Come on. Ah, that's what I was wondering if it was in there. That little kick. Now she's loping good. I'll take the pressure off a little bit. So that little FU kick right there, that's what I wanted to see if that was in there. Because I don't need that when I go to lope her on saddle, under saddle. I don't need that little attitude saying, screw you, I don't want to lope. Come on. There we go. Hey, hey! I was a little late with my pressure on that kick out. There we go. She changed her focus right there, changed her ears, changed her eyes. She licked and chewed, she looked in at me. And I'm gonna reward that and let her come in and have a rest here. So yeah, I'm getting pretty good kickouts every time I have to really get after her. So I probably wanna take a few days and make sure I can get into that lope nice and easily on the ground before I try to do that under saddle. Whew, it's freaking humid in here. Running around chasing her. All right, let's try that again. Good. That time she thought about which way to go, decided to yield to what I was asking. Good. And that's why I didn't make too big a deal of it over there where she went the wrong way. She kind of was headed out to that out gate and therefore putting her butt towards me. So I just took that opportunity to go ahead and make her trot. Just making the wrong thing hard, the right thing easy. Very good. Now she's really staying in this circle connected to me. Excellent. I love how she naturally trots with her head, like basically at wither level. All right, let's do some loping. So she's gonna get in a lot of trouble for that one. So she looked back at me, took aim, and kicked. There we go. Go ahead and let her rest. I'm gonna go ahead and catch her. Let her know that's what I wanted. This is something I'm not great at either, but in horse training, you have to have a very short memory and no temper or no grudges. The fact that she kicked out at me that one time, or 3 times, has no bearing on this next time. She loped off correctly right there. All of the previous stuff is forgiven. She did the right thing, she gets the reward. In this case, the reward is being put back on the halter and doing something different, not having to lope around in this deep sand. So there's always time tomorrow for me to come back and do more loping with her. But the best thing I can do right now is give her a big reward for changing her attitude, because she definitely thought about kicking out at me that last time, and she chose not to. She just chose to go into a perfect lope departure. And that's what we want to reward. So I think what I might work on now is a little bit more lateral flexion, because that's something I can do without making her work, so it can still be part of the reward. Got just a little bend right there. Pick up. There's just a little bend. Good. I just need the most important thing to get on these horses when you're doing this lateral flexion is that first instinct when you first touch the rein, when they feel slack, when you even move your hand towards that rein. Is their first reaction to give, or is their first reaction to brace? If they brace, even if they then give, you're never going to have a really good horse. The kind of horse that'll stop nice and soft, that'll, be super calm and all the good things that we want. Their first reaction when you go to pick up that rope, right there she gave. Good. And I probably even could have released a little quicker. Good. You see, that time I didn't really even wait for her to have that little snap give, because as I picked up on that lead rope, she was already turning into it. Can't ask for more than that. That's great. And a lot of times, right there, she gave. Good. A lot of times, once you do this a couple times, they kind of get to be like, wow, this is weird. Like, and they get curious. They're like, who is this guy standing over here? And they'll actually do the full lateral flexion where they put their head all the way around to their shoulder. They'll do that on their own. And that's not really what I'm going for. See how she leaves her head there for a little bit? It's not what I'm really going for, but it's kind of an indication that, things are working pretty good. Pick up. She's a little stiff there. Waited for some softness. But I think you'll get your horse wanting to give to that lateral flexion a whole lot quicker if you do it this way than if you pick up and you wait for them to come all the way around and then you release. Good. And if you do this for a couple days and they give just enough for you to release and they never give any more, it's okay to go ahead and get more and more and more and get them all the way around. I'm not saying you can never do that. But I think if they feel that rope and their initial thought is, man, I'm going to have to stretch all the way around, I'd rather just pull against it, then you've kind of messed yourself up. Good, she gave. So this might be in a time where she gave, and I'm going to ask for a little bit more now. So she got the reward. There's a little bit more. Give her the reward. I'm going to pick up again because she snapped. There's some softness. I might go ahead and ask for it again. But she's getting the reward in between each one of those. Good. Her first instinct there was softness. And then because all those muscles loosened up, her head starts to come down. Very good. You see that ear, this ear on this side continues to twitch back and forth to me. Even when she goes and thinks about something else, it comes back to me. There it comes back to me. If she gets locked onto something else, there it came back to me, but I can just do a little lateral flexion. I might do a little bit more. And release. So I'm giving her a series of releases in each one of those. And right now I'm just waiting for a lick and a chew. So we're putting her in a position where she can relax, loosening up these neck muscles, and just waiting for her to relax. Okay, her neck stiffened up a little bit, so I'm just going to ask her to release. She's pulling against it. There. There. So if you remember all the focus work that I used to talk about a lot, I still do it, but I don't talk about it as much. But this is exactly that same focus work. Whenever her focus gets locked on something else, I'm just redirecting her focus back. I'm just using a different tool, in this case lateral flexion, instead of typical groundwork, but it's the same focus work that I've always done. There we go. Big old lick and a chew. Very good. Now she's had a big old rest, so I think I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of groundwork. I think what I'm going to do is I want to transition into some shoulder yielding the forequarters. I'm going to start by putting her into a circle, then I'm going to transition into yielding the hind end, and then I'm going to go into yielding the front end. So follow the lead rope, yield the lead rope, there we go. So a guy I've been watching a lot lately, Stephen Andrews, pretty sure that's his name, Stephen Andrews. He talks about 5 yields. And so basically you have forward yield, which was kind of what I was working on there. When I send you forward, pull that lead rope a little bit forward, you need to yield forward, right? She needs a little bit more work on her forward yield. She's not super forward. There's backward yield, which I haven't really done at all with her yet. And there's hind quarter yield, forequarter yield, and let's see, that's 4. I can't actually remember what his 5th one is. Oh, and I think, see, that's that forward yield right there. So she's kind of sticky on that. And then there's like yielding the whole body at the same time, like drifting basically. So up to now, I've really only done 2 of those, which is forward and hindquarters. So I'm gonna go ahead and transition into this hindquarters yield. It's a lot softer on her face now, but see, I'm bumping on this rib cage, and there she got off of it. Bumping on this rib cage, there she got off it. So, and there she's not, this front left foot's not actually moving. So these shoulders aren't yielding. There. She's just kind of being lazy and not actually like lifting this belly, and there. Getting off of this pressure. There we go. That's a lot better. And there's a lick and a chew. Good. Okay, now I'm going to go into shoulder yielding. There, I'm looking for that big step over in the front end like she did right there. Okay, not bad. Now she sucked back a little bit there. Get that forward yield going again. And I'm just going to give her a little break there. She did pretty good for that first time. So I'm thinking, I'll try to keep videoing these sessions. I might be done with her for today. This is a lot for the first day. I'd like all of that to be a little bit better, right? I have no doubt that I could throw a saddle on her and go ride right now and she'd be fine. But I don't think that I would be improving her a lot by doing that. I think the things I'm doing here are improving her much more than just riding around. So I want that forward yield to be quite a bit better, because when I get on her, I don't want to have to be kicking her to get her into a lope or even just to go. Forward yield, the hind end yield needs to be better, and really the hind end is yielding okay, but the front end is just stuck. So it's really more that shoulder yield in conjunction with the hind end yield. Everything needs to be a little more engaged and athletic, okay? I want to get into doing some backward yield, and then I'll do that drifting kind of thing, but that should work once the shoulders and the hind end are working. I need to get her lateral flexion a little bit better. It's pretty good now by the end of the night, but I need to get that a little bit more every time. And I'd like to lope her quite a bit more, where when I kiss and send her off, she lopes off nice and easy without having so much attitude about it. So yeah, hopefully within a week, all those things will be working pretty good, and I'll be riding her. So yeah, I think I'm going to be done with her for today. And thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow with her.